used to recount stories of doing something like 22-hour-long missions in this thing over the Pacific. Remarkable endurance, and they could spend most of that time at very low altitude, which requires considerable concentration. Because flying over the sea where there may not be a very good horizon, particularly at night, is very, very, very tiring. Requires enormous concentration. This particular Catalina was built in Quebec in 1943, so it's what, 68 years old, originally for the Royal Canadian Air Force. Notice the wingtip fairings coming down, the floats coming down off the wingtip, which completes its waterborne configuration. That is gorgeous. When you fly a normal aeroplane, they set it up so you've got the throttles right by your right hand, just where you want them. Not in this aeroplane, they're up in the air. Because the wing is way above your head, and the engines are up there as well, to reduce the number of linkages required to get to the engines, the throttles are right up and above your head, and it must be really quite awkward on finals when you want perhaps minor power adjustments to keep the aeroplane exactly on the glide path and exactly on the correct speed, both of which are vital. It must be quite difficult to do it, and it's probably quite heavy on the controls, I would imagine. It's one of those aeroplanes you probably fly two-handed. Graceful aeroplane. Last year we had some poor weather, and this remarkable aeroplane still flew despite the fact the cloud base was rather low, and in fact got even lower after he got airborne, and we had visions of him actually landing on the sea. But it flies so slowly that he was able to come back in and land. They know if they're getting a good display or not. In Belfast under license from the Embraer company in Brazil. A sort of mini jet. And I think they're going to let the Grob Tutor go as well. The Grob Tutor, also Royal Air Force aeroplane, this particular one from RAF Cranwell, where the RAF has its college. The Grob Tutor, piston engined, made by the German glider manufacturer Grob. Highly aerobatic. Ab initio trainer. Replaced the Bulldog, and so on. Chipmunk, Tiger Moth. Our Hawk display pilot is in fact quite a lady. She's a champion motor racer, she's a champion eventer, and has even taken part in the winning team at the Royal Windsor Horse Show in front of Her Majesty. I think we've lost her.
Disappeared.
Front. Here comes the British Aerospace Hawk. When you're actually on board the aircraft, it sounds a bit like a hairdryer behind you. It's not very noisy when you're inside the flight deck itself. Tandem cockpit, the rear passenger, the rear person is normally the instructor who sits high and can see over the front of the student. And you'll see the same sort of cockpit design in the Tucano, which was deliberately modelled around sophisticated modern fighter aircraft, and we'll be seeing the Tucano in a few minutes. I can remember flying one of these Hawks around the Welsh valleys at 400 knots indicated and well below 500 feet without any difficulty whatsoever. Beautiful positive controls. It seemed to have absolutely no undesirable characteristics at all, and it looks right. It's just beautiful. Can reach 50,000 feet, not there, but can do. Can have its range extended to 1,500 miles, that's from here to Tenerife. Probably quite uncomfortable to fly a long-range trip in the aircraft because you're sitting in a G-suit. You're sitting on an ejector seat, which is very, very firm. There's deliberately very little upholstery on an ejector seat because the last thing you want is to compress your spine if you have to eject, as Jules comes round low and fast.
Darling, move Daddy's shirt.